Hi, I updated this sheet and I just wanted to talk about it. I just recorded it like an 8-minute video and just noticed that my microphone was off. I just turned it on, so now we're recording this again. I keep doing this. It's always great to redo everything. But I will go ahead and talk about what I just talked about for 8 minutes straight. There were some issues in the last video on the sheet that I noticed whenever I walked through it. It allowed me to see some of the things that I missed. And that was these two things right here. Expense ratios, I wrote them down. Now I've highlighted them to make sure I did it. Now I have. If you go to the expanded sheet and you scroll all the way down, you will see all of these down here. So we have the average rate, lower rate, which is not very probable, higher rate, which might happen. But for the most part, this is going to be really what you should be looking at, not really worrying about these two, because it's really unlikely that 9.15% over like a 40-year period is going to be what you end up with. I mean, it might be down like that last year that you're on, but for the most part, it won't really affect it as much as it shows that it would on here. It would really just look at this one. That's all. Yeah. So right here you have the QQQ times this percentage. Same thing here and here. Yellow for average, red for lowest, and then green for highest. This shows how much you lose every single year, times that expense ratio of 0.2%. This is how much you have left over after all of your expenses every single year, your salary. This is the leftovers added on to each year. Oh, this is also leftovers after you add or take away that expense ratio from your QQQ. So we're not taking it out of QQQ. We're taking it out of our leftovers, and in most cases, it looks like we still look positive. Not so much over here. We're still kind of struggling with the leftovers, so it'd be a good idea to keep a decent amount for that expense ratio. But towards the end, even with I guess it is right here, with 1.5 million or a couple million into QQQ, the expense ratio doesn't really take away that much. It's only a few $1,000s out of the leftovers. So you still end up with 3 million. This one you lose the most out of all of these because it's the most money. This one you lose the least because it's the least amount of money for that expense ratio to take away. And that is why this is the highest compared to these after that. So yeah. Really, it should be around 3 million to 3, this number right here, somewhere in between, assuming that most of this goes right. Really towards the end here where your salary is really good, that's like where it's gonna count. But we also want to retire early, and so really just kind of getting in and getting out on that really high pay for a few years can really help you, and then you're just set. You could probably work longer if you want to, but it is a relatively high stress job, and I feel like after so many years, you'd rather spend more time with like your kids, or pursue a passion outside of your job, which specifically I really like the idea of investment banking, but this is just if you were to be an investment banker where your money would go. Not me personally. So, when we go on to retirement salary at an 11.5%, it's a lot different looking taking it out from our leftovers. And this is because the leftovers are the same every single year, while our QQQ increases every single year by millions of dollars, which leaves us with, you guessed it, negative amount Because at some points we're taking out $200,000 towards the very end. Around here it's more okay, 70, but once you get really these last few years before I assume I would die, it's in the negatives. And you really want to make sure that you at least have some net positive during these years. I think at age 60, so right about here it immediately starts to go down, and how much you have each year left over. Now you still have a lot of net worth in your QQQ, and you will have to go over that $89,250 limit, and get that 15% federal capital gains tax. But I think it will be worth it. I haven't really put in the numbers to calculate that. This up here is just QQQ times this minus what you take out every year. So it's a little bit misleading. But once you look all the way down here after the expense ratio, it'll really show you the real numbers of where you'll be at after those expenses. So you'll end up with probably around 70 million, I would assume, because you are going to be taking out about maybe $20,000-$30,000 more to make sure that you're able to pay for everything. I haven't really put in any of the private school stuff yet for my kids or stuff like that during retirement, because I don't think my kid will graduate until somewhere around here, as I talked about or not my kid, but just the theoretical situation of when my kid would graduate if I was an investment banker doing this job. They would graduate around this area, so I'd have to make sure to have enough money to pay for all that, and then from there it kind of goes downhill. But I think right around between probably like 52 and 60, where 61 starts to go downhill and how much you have left over, I would start taking out some from QQQ. You're already at 10 million, so it's like you're doing just fine. So yeah, it's crazy. Within 15 million or 15 years, you go up about a lot. So yeah, I will update this. Of course, once again, I will put this sheet in the description. It is updated for everybody, and I should be updated. Oh, it's because I have two of them. It should be updated soon with the actual numbers after expense ratios, probably by the time that you see this. So yeah, all right, so yeah, bye.